24, you're gonna have $44,000 extra in your budget because we don't need to make that payment anymore. And I don't know if you've got additional work that needs done on the water side, we could look at in a couple of years and see if we can get 100% grant again, or if we have the option of reducing rates, or if there's something else that we can do. But I've got to base rates on what our annual expenses are now. So even though we can look for just a couple years in the future, we're gonna have more money. That doesn't prevent the need for us to raise rates and charges to cash flow. And I guess I'm gonna shoot you around this report a little bit, but I wanted to show you page 12 and, yeah, page 12 will do it. I want to show you that 2 of the last 4 years you've lost money. And last year, 2021, you lost $99,000. You made $73,000 a year before, and then we made 41, and then 2018 there were lots of things going on. But your utilities are supposed to be self-supporting with user fees, so you should be cash flowing. You know, you should be bringing enough money to pay the expenses. So we look at what happened in these years, and then we make a budget for the future, and that's what I've been showing you on page 22. That's your budget for the future. So I'm showing that even at break even, we should be collecting $261,000, and what I'm projecting we're gonna collect from current rates and charges is $207,000, which is a $53,000 shortfall. And if we want 1-year rates, it goes up to 59. If we want 3-year rates, it goes up to 67. If you want to do 5-year rates, it would go up to 77. But I don't think you want to look more at the other than the 3-year rates, because after 3 years, we're going to not have that debt service payment anymore, because we're going to pay off the debt service that we have from 2005 bonds and not have to worry about that anymore. So the bad news is if that's like a 26 or a 28 or a 32% increase, which is a lot. And if we look at page 27, Jennifer, would I be right in that the minimum bill here is about $35.99, and maybe at 4,000 gallons we're at $61? Does that sound about right? That's what I looked at from your rate schedule.
Yeah.
Does that sound about right? Okay. So this just shows you at different usage levels each month what a customer pays, and I'm showing currently the minimum's about $35.99, and at 4,000 gallons, which Indiana Department of Environmental Management says is the typical usage for a residential user in Indiana. And that's kind of a funny number, because I always find it's based on affluence. And like Carmel is a perfect example. They have one of the highest water consumptions, average water consumptions in Indiana, and they use an average of about 10,000 gallons, which is a lot of water to be using. And Greenwood's about the same way. They're pretty close to 10,000, and those are the 2 highest in Indiana. But what I see in communities like yours, and most of the communities that I deal with, you're right around 3,500 to 4,000 gallons. So that's kind of about right, Jennifer, somewhere in that. And elderly people and people just 1 or 2 people in the household would certainly use less than bigger families, you know. So that would show you on your minimum. If we're looking at going into the break-even rates, it'd be an increase from 35 to 45, or 35 to 46 for the 1-year rates, or 35 to 47 for the 3-year rates, or about $12. And on the average, it's going to go 3-year rates about $20 a month.
See,
If we were doing.
so here's always the problem.
Yeah.
You gave us this speech 10 years ago.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
I'm just saying though,
Yeah.
the 3 years comes and now it's 10.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, you get behind the 8 ball
Yeah.
when you don't review it after 3 years,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. So certainly I always come in and recommend the 3-year rates.
That's
you
what we
know,
did
it's
last time.
Yeah, it's just time to do it. And really, if we come in this time, Andy, and do the 3-year rates, by the time the 3 years is up, you're not going to pay 2005
Right.
bond issue anymore, and that's gonna be another $44,000. That's gonna add to your bottom line, so that's gonna eat up any inflation. So I'm really thinking you do this now, you can probably last, and Andy's gonna hate me for saying this, like
10 years.
like 6 or 7 years, yeah. Not 10. I never think anybody's rate's gonna last 10 years, yeah. Just things change, and certainly the way inflation's going this year and projected to go next year, that it's, you never know. So I always think 3 years is a pretty good time to wait to look at things again. You know, a thing I always say is, when you set rates, you're setting the revenues, and those revenues don't change. You know, those rates and charges don't change until you set them again. So the revenues stay constant unless you have a little bit of growth. So since your revenue budget stays the same, you can't spend any more than you're bringing in. So you're still working with the same expense budget that you had 9 years ago. So, you know, our rates and charges reflect the expenses that we're looking at 9 years ago, not the ones we had today. And that's why you need to look at things every 3 years or so that you can update your rates to reflect the current expense budget that you need to be spending money on. So, you need to think about what you want to do here. I've given you a couple examples. Break even, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year. You can see on page 27 what that's going to impact your customers. And then I always love to explain state law when I've got an attorney in the room. So I'm going to do that a little bit too, and he's going to tell you where I'm wrong, okay? So the process to adopt user fees in Indiana is basically they introduce a rate ordinance, and I can draft that, and I can draft the public notice to give to your attorney for him to make sure that it's legal and to revise to make sure it is. So you introduce a rate ordinance at a publicly held meeting. You advertise one time, 10 days prior to a public meeting, a public hearing, and it has to be advertised in newspaper of general circulation one time. And then you hold that hearing, and after that hearing, after the public comment period, you can suspend the rules and adopt the rates on final reading for consumption on and after that date. So since we usually don't want Jennifer to have to prorate 2 different rate schedules in the same month, we usually say as soon as practicable, or we set a date certain when those dates will go into effect. And but some attorneys don't like the language as soon as practicable, and others do. So it'd be up to what your attorney likes. And then if you have any customers outside the town limits, they have to receive that notice that we put in the paper by mail. And so Jennifer would have to put together.
We have a few.
Yeah, everybody seems to. Everybody tells me they don't until they look at it.
No, we do.
They say they do, yeah.
We have a few.
Yeah.
Right. A dozen.
So I'm not suggesting that you need to make a decision tonight, certainly. I'm glad to come back and talk to you again on another evening. I want to discuss it in detail, but it's something to think about. And just know there's a process, and it probably takes 30 or 60 days to go through that process by the time you look at, if you don't want to set special meetings up and set the public hearing up to be at your next public meeting. And then it'd be another 30 days before the customers, because it's for usage on and after, before they would hit the bill, and so another 15 days after that before you'd actually see the revenues coming in. So certainly when we pass the holidays, if you're thinking that we don't want to raise rates in Christmas, and the notice wouldn't go out until January probably if you wanted to do it, or February, depending on when you wanted to act on it. But if you decide on what level of rate increase you want and tell me, I would draft that rate ordinance in the public notice, send it to your attorney, or Jennifer would send it to your attorney, and he could take that information and make it legal, and then you could act on that.
Okay.
How close was I there?
So,
You're good. I always tell attorneys in the room that I'm a pretty bad paralegal. And sometimes I say, no, Steve, you're not too bad at all as a paralegal. So I just hear what attorneys tell me a lot. And I'm a pretty good paralegal. So that's what I generally hear. Yeah. Any comments? Any questions?
no,
No?
it's important. You know, I mean, to let you think about this, we need to paint our water tower. Average paint 10 to 15 years, ours has lasted 20.
Yeah.
We've saved $0 to paint this tower, which is one of the most expensive assets we have. I mean, it's like $1.5 million sitting out there.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm glad that there's a fund in there now, because 20 years from now, when I'm not here and don't care, they're gonna say, hey, we got money to paint this water tower.
How'd that happen? Yeah. The other thing I can do for you is, prior to your public hearing, I can put together a list of communities in Hamilton County and what they pay for water and sewage, and compare you to them, and
That's
Tell me
always
this,
nice to have for people to give a review.
And you know this with all the people you deal with. We are not the highest.
No.
Not even close.
No.
We're not even in the ballpark.
No.
No, I know.
Yeah.
No, we're not.
But they're gonna still scream.
Yeah,
They're
well,
still
everybody,
gonna
They
scream.
always do.
everybody does. But see, that's, you know, this is the catch-22, and it's happened here before when we did our water plant and water tower. Nobody likes to do it, and everybody thinks they're doing someone a favor by not doing it. And then 20 years go by. We had gone for over 20 years without a rate increase. And
Hanging
the
off
water-
an old water tower after the new one was
yeah,
built, no
you know what a
one
lot
was
of people
torn
don't
down.
realize? Our old water tower was torn down for over 5 years before it was paid for. Because they just kept rolling the debt over and over and over
Well, look at
again.
our water and sewer projects we've had.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the
You
thing
Those are
know,
the ones where we've
it's-
saved money.
but that's,
I know, but
yeah.
it's been forever since they were upgraded.
People have to realize too, without all the grants we got,
Yeah.
Oh,
that,
rates
that,
would be sky.
our rates would be sky high.
You're a small community, and larger communities have lower rates just because they have more people spread those costs over. And so it's been very fortunate we've gotten grants for your past projects to be able to keep your rates moderate comparatively. And your water and sewer utility are in great shape, and I just love the sewer project you're doing because you're replacing almost everything. I mean, everything is gonna be brand new, and the comparison between your
All right.
water that you come in and,
Oh, yeah.
and your
We're
metering
getting
sewage
close.
is like nothing. I mean, it's incredible. Inflow and infiltration is the biggest problem that every community has, and you've got certainly one of the tightest systems in Indiana. I keep telling Andy that you're gonna make the cover of the SRF's quarterly magazine as one of their poster childs here very soon, just because this project is so amazing with the results that it's producing.
Well, I can tell you, what's amazing to me is I'm waiting on one more lab result, but I'm just working on my wastewater report. So our ammonia used to run between maybe like an 8 and an 11, okay? And it's because our wastewater was so diluted, and now our ammonia is like a 55, 57, 59. Because the wastewater that's in the system is not being diluted by all the groundwater, you know? So, it is, it's working. They're about halfway done with the manhole lining now. So, we're getting really close, and we have one section of sewer left to replace.
So has IDEM lifted our ban?
No, they won't till everything's done. I mean, they'll get a letter, they'll see our compliance, cause they did. When we had our inspection, you know, I told them what we're doing, but they're gonna come out. They have which a lot of people don't know, they created a department just for this. That's over the collection systems now. They have a whole division just for I&I. So, I imagine here next spring, early summer, they'll be out to do our inspection and go around and want to know what we've done and what we've done it all. I mean, I told my wastewater inspector, but you know, he'll put in his report what we're doing, but it's not.
He'll just be handing over a book.
It's not his division, so it is. It's really, it's huge. You know, I told Tracy Irwin that. You know,
So,
that I was talking to her. I said it's a home run. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's a long time coming. I mean, we found so many things that just unbelievable. So, yeah, life expectancy. I mean, you know, it'll move this forward another 50 years.
That's It's nice, yeah, yeah. Again, you're gonna have one of the tightest systems in Indiana, which is really nice.
What do we wanna do if, I forgot to get into that depreciation deal.
Oh,
You're not
when you
depreciating
decide,
your system, right?
Depreciations are mostly just replacement, and what we include in rates is short-term asset replacement. Things under 15 or 20 years. Things that are over 15 or 20 years in your system really have to be replaced through bond issues and debt issues. So we don't really need to do anything now, but when you decide to make an increase, what increase you want to do, you should also authorize Jennifer to make that monthly transfer based on the replacement schedule, so that improvement or depreciation fund will represent over time what we need to pay out of that. And then Annie won't be having to bother Jennifer about, hey, how much money do I have anymore? Need to buy this. He can bother you guys. Yeah, but you'll know that it's funded. And Andy's the one that signed off on that schedule. Gave me the estimates. I like to work with the superintendents when I put that schedule together.
The timing on everything.
Yeah.
And that's how we bought our trucks, was through the depreciation
Yeah.
fund.
Exactly. That's the way it should work.
It works.
Yeah. Shoebox accounting.
Saving money.
Any questions?
I don't have any further questions. You don't have any questions? I guess
Did you have 2 more of these so we can
Yeah, she's
put?
got
I've got it.
Okay.
we'll table it till our next meeting, I suppose, and if there's any communication between now and then, say everybody kind of independently decides the 3-year deal looks good to them or whatever, I'll let you know.
Sure. And I can come back and talk with the
Okay.
council members here. Or you can just let me know and I'll send the information to your attorney to Jennifer. And we can get moving on, getting new rates and charges implemented for the new year. Yeah. Okay.
And since we did the sewer study earlier this year, were we looking at another 3 years or so before we revisit
Yeah,
that probably?
yeah.
Okay.
We have to, just so everyone knows here, in order to close on a loan or a grant from the Indiana State Revolving Loan Fund, I have to present with them a schedule that shows that the rates and charges in effect at the time of closing will collect the budget amount of annual operation maintenance, repair, replacement, debt service, working capital, and still provide what they call a 1.25 debt service coverage ratio, and we did that. So those rates were in effect at the time of closing, and again, we've got, as you say, we've got a good 3 years before we should need to look at it again, unless something major happens, and certainly Jennifer will tell you something major happens. If you hire 3 more people for the sewer side, we need to go back and do something to make sure that they were funded in rates or charges, or if for some reason your water tower fell down tomorrow, we would need to go in and adjust rates to reflect what we need to do to replace that water tower. And without anything major happening, we should be good for 3 years. The other thing I like to say, because people call me, and sometimes they call me and say, Steve, you're a year later, your rates are right on. And other times people call me and say, Steve, we raised the rates and we don't have any money. What happened? And all I can say is that I can set a budget for you, but I can't make you stick to that budget. So it's always possible to spend over what the budget is. So this is a good planning tool as well. And you talk to Jennifer and she knows what you have budgeted. And if you decide to stray off that budget, then we'll probably have to have a rate increase sooner than 3 years again. I've had communities that set the rates and charges, and then for 6 months they hire 2 more people that were not in the budget to start with, and I can't fix that. I can't plan for that. So I can set a budget for you. And I talked with Jennifer about the budget for operation maintenance, and she seemed to be good at that. Talked with Andy about the budget for short-term asset replacement. She seemed to be good at that. We put in the schedule for your lease payments, for your water meters, and for your debt service. So, those are fine. And then we put in that inflation budget, which would be either break even 1 year, 3 year, or 5 year, that you're going to choose what you want to give longevity to the rates and charges. So we should be good, barring something major happening or are you guys going off the reservation on your budget, you know, hiring new people, buying new things? It does take a while in short-term assets to build up the balances, you know, take 10 years to build up the balances. It's kind of the thing, you build it up, you pay it down, you build it up, you pay it down. But it's been 9 years, we're a little low, we're about 10% of what that depreciation budget should be right now in the depreciation fund. I'm always more comfortable when it's close to 50%, but it's not down to 1 or 2%, so you know, it's not terrible. But if we pass these rates, that will start to build up again. We'll be in good shape.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, glad to be here. Good to see everybody. Happy holidays.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If you don't need me for anything else, I won't stay for the rest of your meeting. Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Steve.
Take care.
Bye, Steve. Have a safe holiday.
I don't have a business card with me, but
That's all right.
I'm Alex.
What will we do with nobody in the audience?
Nick Lloyd.
Nobody.
I'll get you an email. It's nice to meet you. Pleasure to meet you. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, Jennifer, do you have anything to report tonight?
The only thing I have to report is, actually, the SAM number, the registration was finally successful. Now I'm waiting on a confirmation email, so hopefully that will continue to go through. And then we got our first distribution of the unrestricted opioid funds, which was $106.34. So that's,
All that paperwork and,
yeah, and I think the next ones are gonna be a lot less, yeah. And then just, I didn't know if you wanted to schedule, for our last meeting.
so somewhere between Christmas and New Year's, right?
Yeah, yes.
We should be able to do any of the, 26th to the 29th, I should be able to do the meeting.
We are off the 26th,
Alright.
so,
So Tuesday, Wednesday,
what about Thursday? Would that be okay for everybody?
You know, during the day.
Uh-huh.
I've got a deal about 1.
Maybe if we have it early,
Do it at 10.
10 o'clock.
then?
Yeah.
Oh, I got a dentist at 10:50.
Wait,
Do
1
we-
o'clock?
Do we wanna do
Then I
9?
gotta-
Oh, wait, you've got 2.
Then I got a client to take it to wound care at 2.
Do it at 9.
Let's do it at 9.
Okay,
Is that all right?
sounds good to me.
Okay. Or we could do that Wednesday, either one. I mean,
I don't care.
would Wednesday work better for you?
Yeah, if we do it early.
It's up to you.
It's up to you,
whatever's easier
Pam.
for you.
It's up to you, Pam.
I gotta take him to a chiropractor at 3:30 on Wednesday or wound care at 2 on Thursday, so, whatever.
Whatever.
Early's better either day.
So
Thursday at 9.
Yeah?
Thursday at
So
9?
Thursday.
Yep.
Okay.
Works for me.
That's all?
That's it? All right.
I got 2 traffic ordinances for you guys as well.
All right.
Again, they're not copied, but